What's up everybody, it is Catherine here, and for this video we are going to talk about the elements and elemental magic, so let's dive in. Okay guys, so I have some notes here on my phone, so if you see me looking down, then I am looking at notes, or I'm reading off of my notes, and then we're going to explain it like I've done in tons of previous videos. We're going to be relying heavily on my notes that I have taken that are important key components of this topic. So let's dive in. We're going to start by talking about elemental magic, and then we're going to dive into each of the individual elements, alright? So elemental magic refers to the magic of the elements of nature: earth, air, fire, and water. So elemental magic is, as you can guess from that definition, magic that involves heavily with one or more, because I've seen some people combine more elements of these elements, okay? This is by far one of the most simplest forms of magic to perform. This is why a lot of new practitioners, they start with this form of magic, and that is perfectly okay. And the best part is most elemental magic only requires some few basic tools such as bowls of water, stones, candles, etc. to perform. It doesn't always involve a whole smorgasbord of ingredients, okay? It's usually very simple things. Now, one thing to note here is that this is going to be the most shocking part of it but the energy you put behind the spell is the foundation of all elemental magic. Alright, while the right words and actions are important, as with all spells, words and actions are important, they are actually the least important part in elemental magic. The words and actions of the spell serve only to guide your focus and energy. Okay, our body naturally stores huge amounts of energy, and we could tap into that. We could tap into that through magic. We could tap into that through pretty much just raising our vibrations, connecting with the energy through us. I want you to take a minute. And I want you to close your eyes, gather up energy in your hands, send it out, I don't know, you can put it into a ball. Send that ball of energy out and pull it back to you. That is a very simple and very basic exercise to understanding magic. Understanding energy and how to work with energy. Alright, so our body naturally stores energy, and spells are a vehicle and tool for us as witches to bring forth what we would like to have manifest in accordance with our own will. Alright? You will learn to tap into this energy when you do elemental magic, and you learn how to transfer that energy into objects, items, things like that, such as amulets and talismans. There's been elemental spells that I've done where I've transferred my energy into a stone. Like, for example, I was needing to cast some negative thoughts towards the situation away. So I did a little tiny ritual where I took a stone and I transferred my thoughts and my negative energies into that stone, and then I threw it into the lake and buried it in the lake where I could not touch it ever again. Okay, because I'm always so dang afraid that if I put something like negative energies and stuff like that into a stone and I pick it back up, it's just going to transfer back into me, which can happen, but 9 times out of 10 it really doesn't after it diffuses within the stone itself. But for me, I wanted to have that added precautionary step, and I threw it in the lake. So then that way the lake can wash away and purify, because water is very purifying. It could wash away that negativity and re-cleanse the stone of what taint I put into it. So that's just a real quick example of learning to transfer your own energy into objects and things. When a spell calls for one important thing to note here is that when a spell calls for you to inscribe a rune into the dirt, the physical motion's purpose is just there to help you transfer that personal energy. All right. If you are to take a stone in a spell, like let's take for example when I was getting rid of my negative energy towards a situation and negative thoughts, I was sitting there and I had the stone in my hand and I was rubbing the stone. That's just a simple action for me to work with my psyche and transfer my negative energies and my negative thoughts into that stone. That's all that action was, but to me it made sense intuitively, so I went with it. Alright? So that's a little bit to know about elemental magic. Like I said, the key thing to take away from elemental magic, it is magic that involves one or more of the elements within the spell. And usually they are the center focus, and usually it is just one element, but in my spell example, I did use both earth and water to attain my goal. Earth to trap it in, and water to purify the stone and purify those thoughts. So you can use multiple elements within reason, as long as they go together to obtain your end result. All right, and just remember that what is the most important element of elemental magic is the energy put behind the spell. Words and actions are just a vehicle and a tool to help us communicate with our psyche in order to transfer energy. All right, so let's dive in and talk about each of the 4 elements. All right, so air is all around us. It's necessary for life and is usually the easiest element to start working with because we're so accustomed and so used to being around it. All right, this is not to say that air is 100% our friend. I mean, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to envision things like hurricanes, tornadoes, or large gusts or large wind gusts. But it can also be something as simple as a gentle breeze or a very light wind that also would be a really great way to connect with the element air, which we'll get to in a moment. You have to always remember that the element of air, and air in general, is always constantly changing and always fluid. So it's not one of those rock hard solid elements that we can physically touch. We can feel it on our skin when the air is blowing around outside, but we cannot physically grab air and touch it like we could something like this crystal egg, for example. I could physically hold this, but I cannot physically hold air. All right. Okay, so air is the manifestation of things such as intelligence, freshness, new beginnings, things like that. And to connect to this element, all you have to do is find a place where you can breathe deeply and focus on the freshness of the air around you and the feeling that you get from breathing. Another way that you can connect with this element is going outside when there's a breeze, a light breeze, a heavy wind, whatever it is. As long as the air is blowing, go outside and you're safe. Make sure you're always safe. I'm not going to recommend you guys do anything where you won't be safe, but go outside and literally just close your eyes and just feel the wind and take note of the different emotions, the different feelings, the different textures of your skin, things like that you get from the element of air. Immerse yourself in it. I literally when it's blowing and I go outside and I connect with the element of air in that way, I call it immersion connection, because I'm immersing myself into that element. I'm going outside into the breeze to immerse myself in that element in order to connect with it. All right. So properties of air, it is, in the sense of the cardinal directions, it is positioned in the east, where the place where the sun does rise. It has a projective energy. Colors associated with it are yellow. You want to make sure that you think like the sun, the sky at sunrise, colors like that. Some rituals that you can perform using the element of air are travel, study, freedom, recovering lost items, and some simple forms of rituals involving the element of air could be throwing objects into the air, fanning objects, and of course positive thinking. The time of season best suited for the element of air is spring, where, spring is the time of new beginnings and fresh starts in life and things like that. Magical tools that are associated with it are the wand, and some symbols are feathers, incense smoke, and flowers, just to name a few. These properties are by no means 100% complete. These are just some basic ones to get you guys started in understanding the elements. Alright, so definitely make sure, and I'm going to encourage it in every video, guys, make sure you do more research beyond this video. My goal with these videos is just to get you started in understanding the topic being discussed. Alright, so now let's dive into the element of earth. The element of earth is all around us. It is the ground. It is the mountains, the trees, the dirt, the grass. It is anything physical, pretty much everything physical that we can touch. Going back to this crystal egg, this is a form of earth. So, I could physically touch this. This is a very tangible object. Earth is a tangible element, whereas air is not so tangible. In the sense of I can just reach out and grab the air. You really can't, because you can't really touch or feel anything. With earth, you can. Alright? The earth does ground us, it brings us stability, and it does offer prosperity. Mother Earth is the place where all life comes from, and working with this element is very important during rituals of business, fertility, stability, and knowledge. Some more workings that may require stable ground, firmness, and energy you should always call upon the element of earth, such as when I was getting rid of my negative thoughts and emotions, I called upon the element of earth to give me stability, so then that way I would not have those negative thoughts, negative emotions any longer. And then I use the element of water to cleanse away those thoughts and emotions. Alright, so it is also associated with darkness and quiet. Some properties of earth: it is in the sense of cardinal directions, it sits in the north. Its energy, it is a very receptive energy. Some colors associated with that are going to be browns, greens, definitely. So some good rituals to perform, some rituals you could perform involving involving earth would be money, fertility, grounding, and employment type spells and rituals. Some basic forms of ritual work that you can do with the element of air is going to be planting, building a sand castle, or any kind of playing in the sand in general, and of course burying items. The season associated with the element of earth is winter, and magical tools associated would be the pentacle. Some just extra some symbols of earth would be the soil, the wheat, leaves, plants, salt, etc. Alright, now one thing to do, and this is one thing I did not put in my notes, and I don't know why I didn't. In order to connect with the element of earth, it's very, very simple. Just go outside barefoot. I go outside barefoot all the time. This is why I always literally have dirty feet bottoms. It's because I love going outside barefoot. Alright? And just kind of feel the ground beneath your feet. Then I want you to close your eyes. I want you to put roots down. Like envision like you're growing roots from your feet into the ground. And note the feelings, the emotions, and thoughts that you have in regards to the element of earth. Alright? Just a very simple way to connect. Another thing you can do if you don't want to go out barefoot, you can always crouch down and put your hands down on the earth and do the same exact technique. Alright, so now let's move on to the element of water, which is kind of funny because I literally have been stating back and forth my spell example that I did using earth and water, and they ended up coming one right after another within the set of notes that I have. So water is another element that we cannot live without. It's kind of vital to our survival. It comes straight from the earth, and it provides beginnings and endings for us. It can begin life, watering the plants which start to grow. Sorry, not watering the plants. Watering the seeds which become plants when they grow and things like that. And it can also end it by, drought. It literally can end life as well. Water does cleanse, heal, and provide a way for us us magical people, us witches and magical folk, to peer into the psychic realm. It can be used for divination. Alright. Water is known as the love element. It is really good for love spells and workings. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is water always ebbs and flows and can pour over us and support us as we swim and even power our businesses. Now, that's not in the sense of how you think it is, alright? But we'll get into that here in a second. So, water is emotionally purifying, is emotional and purifying, and it should be used for rituals of the following natures: healing, cleansing, happiness, reflection, psychic abilities, and I would also say new beginnings. The reason for this is because water is, like I said, water gives bursts life, but it can also destroy it if it's not, if it doesn't give enough hydration. So, with that, what I'm saying is that if you take an idea for a spell and you do a spell for it, okay? Let's say I want a new job, so I do a spell for it. I want a new beginning somewhere. So think of the spell as planting the seed, and then after the spell, you doing all the work, like filling out applications and everything, is watering that seed and watching it grow until you get that job, which is when it blooms and it comes to fruition. Alright, I don't know any other really better way to put it. So definitely new beginnings is really good to connect with the element of water, especially in a spell for money, and in a spell for new beginnings, such as a new job, maybe a move to a new place where you're not well known, things like that. Some properties of the element of, real quickly, I didn't put this in the notes either. In order to connect with the element of water, there are a ton of ways to connect with the element of water. The best and easiest way that I have found is when I'm drinking water, assessing my thoughts and feelings and how it feels going down in my system. You'll be surprised at how strange that sounds, but how effective it is for connecting with the element of water. Another thing you can do as well is go outside when it's raining, stand in the rain, close your eyes, and assess your thoughts and feelings then too. Another way is to run water on your hands and assess your thoughts and feelings that way as well. So, like I said, there's a lot of ways, and those are just a few examples. But there are a lot of ways to connect with the element of water. It's unbelievable. Alright, so some properties of the element of water. Its cardinal directions in the west. It is a receptive energy. You think of color, or think of different various shades of blue for the element of water. You can use the element of water when you're performing rituals or working such as purification, love, dreams, sleep, relationships, new beginnings. You can also, some very bare bones simple ritual forms could be placing objects in water. And this could include yourself taking a bath, swimming in water, or using water to dilute any other substance that you're using. The season that it's most associated with is autumn, and magical tools it's associated with is the cup and cauldron. And of course, some more symbols of the element of water are things such as shells, a cup of water, seaweed, etc. I mean, it could literally be a seahorse as well if you want to get into animal symbolism as well. So just bear that in mind. And finally, the very last element, guys, the very last element is the element of fire. But before we dive into the element of fire, I have noticed that my neighbors who are upstairs above me are excruciatingly loud today, so I'm very sorry. It's very loud and yells and screams at our kids all the dang time. And there's just no way for me to really edit and filter all of her voice out in the background. Alright, so fire is a destructive and creative force. It provides heat, light, motion, and is constantly moving and active. We use fire to keep our homes warm. We also use it to cook food. We also use it to keep the darkness away, so we use it for light. Alright. Fire transforms matter into smoke and ash, and thus should be used in various rituals of transformation. You can feel the element of fire by standing in the sun. Going out and standing in the sun, you can use that to connect with the element of fire. You can also, when you're out camping, you can listen to the crackling and the popping of a campfire. You can also watch the flames of a candle or a campfire flicker and burn with the breeze as it moves. Those are various ways of safely connecting to the element of fire. I'm not going to tell you stick your hand in fire, guys. Don't do that. Do not, for the life of you, do not do that. Alright? Let me say here. Controlling the destructive aspect of fire is important when you are working with this element, because fire can be very destructive. It can be destructive, but it can also be very transformative and very creative in its own way and own right. If you lose control over the destructive aspect, you can bring about various negative results to whatever you're working on. And fire promotes change, passion, creativity, power, and sensuality, among other things. Never mind, I already said it. I was going to say passion. So some properties of the element of fire are its cardinal direction. It's positioned in the south. It is a projective energy. Think reds and oranges for the colors of fire, primarily the color red. Some rituals you can use the element of fire for: any kind of working involving sex, anything for courage, authority, removing negativity, strength, transformation, igniting passions, whether it's, sexual passion or it's creative passion, just to name a few. Some basic forms of this is literally burning or smudging an area. So you can light a candle and burn a petition with your intention written on it, and it's a very simplistic form of elemental magic, okay guys? It's associated with the season of summer. Its magical tools, the magical tool associated with it is the athame. And some extra symbols of the element of fire are flame, lava, and any kind of heated object. I would also say that the candle would also be considered a symbol of the element of fire. So, guys, what are we going to take away from this video? Let's take away some very bare bones key points to this video, okay? First off, elemental magic is literally magic involving one or more, within reason, forms, elements of nature, of earth, air, fire, or water. Energy is the most important part, and that the words and actions are the least important part, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take those into consideration when performing a spell. Alright, and then of course, everything in the properties section and everything that we talked about the elements. Alright, so I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this does inspire you, like that is always my goal. And if you like this video, hit that like button. If you like this video or any other videos on this channel, or if you're new or returning, have watched my videos before and aren't yet, hit that smash that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. And as always, if you have anything to comment it below. I will respond to comments as soon as possible. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching, and namaste.